All right. Once again, we are gathered here today to discuss New York sports. Speaking for myself, Ram, we've got Luke, Peter, Ash, and a dog here with us today. So we're really pulling out the stops for you guys. More than happy to see all of you here tonight. Guys, how we doing? How we feeling? I assume that Peter and I are in a better mood than Luke is.
I would hope so.
I'm not in a good mood, but that's okay.
I'm happy to be because I criticized your wardrobe for wearing a hoodie in July.
Yes, Ash. That's why I'm so upset right now. Like I'm just so upset that you made fun of my sweatshirt. Like that's the only thing that's bothering me right now.
I'm going to venture a guess that Luke might be more upset about the Yankees' recent play, and as that's one of the things that we will more than likely take some time to discuss later on tonight. And there's a million things that we can talk about, but most of them have to do with baseball. And Ash is nice enough to join us as I'm not going to
put on the proper mic. Here, I got to put on the proper microphone.
we've got the gallery turning around and already having fun here, where Ash's wife says his audio sucks, and Chris is talking about the fact that he can see my skin. In which case, we're gonna get right into some things here since we're already gonna be messing with me. Let's start off and talk about something that nobody but Peter wants to talk about. We're gonna do this anyway. And let's talk about what's going on the Mets side of the infield with Brett Baty, right? I mean, that's got to be – it's one of the hot topics.
He's so much better than Anthony Volpe.
Well, Ram, I got to say I'm a little bit disappointed because I wanted to swap it slightly, if I could. If you would allow me to slightly take over the production.
I will allow you to discuss talking about Brett Baty. Go ahead.
No. I want you to post a different graphic first. I sent you a graphic showing two players' stats. If you could please pull that up on the screen.
Yeah, so you want the one of both people up? I can do that for you.
Yes.
All right, so let's start off with that.
I wonder what other player we're going to talk about. I'm so curious.
So this, I believe, is this. So this is Baty alone, right? Actually,
yes.
So, and we'll switch over from that. Let's see what we got.
Because we're going to take a closer look at Baty.
There we go. This is the one that. Let's start. All right. So what? This is all you here. What are we talking about? What
I see is in front of me is two fine baseball players, two wonderful baseball players, I would say. You have Trent Grisham there. He's hitting for a little bit better average than Baty has since June 1st, but some nice power numbers, good amount of hits, get in some RBIs, scoring some runs.
You got their team. By the way, Peter.
Oh, thank you, Chris. It's just shocking because there's me and Luke over here. We're big fans of these baseball players. You have two other gentlemen, Ram and Ash. One who says he shouldn't even have made the team to start spring training, but he would absolutely start on the Braves at any position in that outfield, maybe even at shortstop. And then you have Mr. Ram, who is desperate to trade Brett Baty. But, these have been fine, productive players, and I just wanted to give them a shout-out.
I am desperate to trade Brett Baty. That is absolutely true. I'm never backing down from that statement because that's the truth of the matter. I am very pleased when he plays well because we need trade bait. And I'm glad that if he's good enough to convince you that he's worth something, then we should move him. So we're on the same page here. We just have different goals. But I also feel like it's a little unfair to say that Grisham can play shortstop
better than anyone on. Well, I guess defensively, Nick Allen is a perfectly. Actually, I would even say more than acceptable defensive.
Nick Allen is a good defensive shortstop, all right.
But, it was a huge upgrade on Orlando Arcia.
But when you include both sides of the games, unless he's playing the Mets, bro can't hit for shit.
No, he can't hit. He can't be the solution next year. That's for damn sure.
I will say, though, I mean, I know that it was kind of a ride for you, Ash, when you went to go see the Reds versus the Yankees and you had to see Grisham hit in front of you, right?
Yeah, I think he only got one hit that series, but I don't remember now.
I think he had a 2-hit day because I remember
he had 4 hits the game that you went. What are you talking about?
Like he hates him so much he lies. Hates him so much he lies.
I mean, it wasn't as bad as watching him hit against Atlanta last week. Like walk-off grand slam.
He had a pretty big hit. What was it, Saturday or Sunday night? I can't remember.
I don't remember. It was one of the two. I just turned the TV off and started laughing because I knew you guys were going to give me shit over that.
I appreciate the honesty. I will say, I mean, there was one, I don't have it in front of me because I do think it ranks Michael Harris as a really high, but in clutch rating, Trent Grisham does rank as one of the more clutch players in the league, right?
Second. It's actually second.
He is second. He is second in the MLB in clutch.
Is anybody going to be surprised if he tests positive for PEDs?
No, this isn't.
I mean, this is totally out of nowhere.
Jerks and Profar here. We're talking about Trent Grisham, okay? Dude, not on PEDs. He's figuring it out. Okay,
He's figuring it out.
Aaron Judge runs a tight ship over Yankee.
It's like Brady Anderson with his 51 homer season in Baltimore. He was clean.
Because since June 1st, 4 home runs is definitely cause for concern with PEDs.
Peter, you get on me and you call me a hater, and you just watch Ash go to the point where he asks if anyone would be surprised if Trent Grisham is on PEDs. I just want to be clear that you go after me, but that's haters ball Dave Chappelle level of like Olympic level hating right there.
Listen,
now it's a matter of like, you know what? He might be on performance enhancing drugs.
I didn't
Trent's not my guy. What can I say?
Be surprised.
Everybody would be
trying to
surprised.
find some reason to bring Trent Grisham down. Like, it's just like I'm trying to find anything to say that he's not a good player, but like the numbers are all there. Like,
not only does he say he's not a good player,
if you ignore the other 5 years or whatever,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about the last 5 years. We're talking about this season, and he's a good player this season.
That's crazy. Hey, Ash is starting to sound like a Yankee fan talking about all those past seasons.
What during this time frame? What are their WRC pluses and?
I don't know, man. I didn't look that up.
Yeah, don't give them advanced stats. That's going to be too much. Like,
I
think
the
I was
proper
making
stats.
fun of.
Like nobody looks at counting stats anymore.
His WRC plus this season is 135.
But since June 1st is what he was talking about.
I don't know. You want me to why? Like why? Like why do you want me to drill down?
I just want to know. Let's see. I'm pulling it up now. June 1st, right?
Yeah, June 1st. So these are the numbers before we move on to Beatty, because I'll talk about that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's 122. I mean, that's pretty good.
He must be on PEDs. Like,
yeah.
How does that compare to the rest of the outfielders for the Brave, Ash?
Dude, Michael Harris has one of the worst WRC plus I've ever seen for a regular everyday player.
Though apparently, by the way, according to the clutch rating, he's the most clutch player in the league. Was that what I saw when I remember I was talking about this before?
As a Braves fan, can you explain that to me? Can you explain how Michael Harris?
No.
I need to find that image actually again. That was in
Michael Harris the other day took a walk a few days ago. It was his first walk in over 2 months. I mean, this guy is terrible.
I had to find that image though, because that was one of the most like it was just so funny because I remember the discussion of it being like, wow, Grisham is clutch, and then it turned out to be, are you really giving me a stat that Michael Harris is the number 1 clutch player in the league?
Yeah, I
don't believe it for a second. He has a 2% walk rate this year.
Well, listen, clutch players aren't drawing walks. They're getting.
Well, I guess that's true.
But yeah, I remember when Luke sent that over, we were talking about Trent Grisham. I was like, listen, I'm on your side, but if there's a stat where Michael Harris is number 1 on it right now, maybe you don't want to use that.
Do we still have that? Because I really would like to, if I can find it.
It's somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah, I'd rather have Brett Beatty at second base than Ozzie Albies this year.
Well, one thing I said this to Peter. I will say one thing about Beatty that I think is annoying what the Mets are doing is that I think he's more than proven the fact that he can handle third base with the glove, and I would think that the best move is, at least for the time being, to keep him at third base with the glove, because Ronnie Mauricio keeps getting put over there, and they have Beatty at second, and Mauricio was brought up as a natural middle infielder. I know he's not really got a good glove, but I feel like this is just me. Maybe I'm under analyticing this, but like put Beatty at third and put Mauricio at second. In my opinion, I feel like that's their natural positions. And even if they're not necessarily, if Mauricio's glove is bad, hide him at second rather than hide him at third and let Beatty do his thing at third. Peter, I feel like you agree with me on that one.
I 100% agree. Why wouldn't you put the heir apparent to David Wright in his rightful position?
Why did the Mets trade Jeff Kent? I was just thinking about second baseman and his name popped in my head. Like, I don't even understand.
That's the direction you want to go in after he just called Brett Beatty the heir apparent to David Wright? We're not letting him get away with that. This is not. We just watched David Wright get retired. There's emotional talk of me and Peter talking about David Wright, and you want to go to the heir apparent to David Wright as Brett Beatty?
Explain yourself. Like, come on, let's hear it. Like,
no, I think Ash should explain himself for wanting to skirt past that. So
I think, all right, yeah, Brett Beatty's the heir apparent to David Wright in the way that Mac Jones was heir apparent to Tom Brady. That's the heir apparent that I see.
Like, how many third basemen have there been between David Wright and Brett Beatty? Like, nobody's the heir apparent at this point if there's been that many guys man the position between.
I mean,
who's the heir apparent to Joe Montana in San Francisco? Like, come on, this was too long ago now.
Jimmy G.
In a decade or something. Like,
I mean, literally Steve Young, but that's fine.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, if that much time passes, there's no longer heir apparent.
That was kind of funny. I'm going to give you that one, Peter. But
who's the heir apparent to Hank Aaron in right field? I mean,
Ozzy. No, wait.
God. All right. Since we're on the Brett Beatty thing, I know that this was also discussed. So this is, and you've got a Brett Beatty Muse tweet up here too, right? And so kudos to, for what it's worth, kudos to anybody who was posting positive stats about Brett Beatty for free. I know that Peter does it, but I kudos to anyone who wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, people need more discussion about Brett Beatty in their life. And I respect that. And they do seem to be a very nice person. So I respect them as a human being. Their choice of Twitter Muse account, maybe not so much.
No, it's top tier.
One thing I will say is that the power production has ticked up a little bit with Beatty. And it's an interesting case because this is not one of those things where he's tapping into like raw power that he's always had. A lot of it is a result of the bat speed and his ability to pull the ball into right field, these line drive home runs. And that is definitely something where there's a situation where the Mets are taking advantage of that. I don't know if it's Eric Chavez. I mean, he's hitting at the major league, so it must be Eric Chavez, right, Peter? That, Eric Chavez in his wisdom has been able to figure out a way to utilize Brett Beatty's swing to get more out of the power bat, right? I figure that's what you wanted to talk about here.
This is why I know in your heart of hearts you're a true hater. And it's not about trade bait or anything. You just hate Brett Beatty because you're willing to lie and talk about Eric Chavez, even though he's dog shit hitting. Like, look what he did to Alvarez. Alvarez finally got away from him, and he came back, and he's pulling home runs again.
So now that they're in the MLB, do they just like have separate rooms from Eric Chavez? Like, do we have a separate video call with the AAA hitting coach where he's like, "Oh, I'm about to take a bat in the majors. Let me call the."
You just start ignoring him. Listen, you just get outside help and you start ignoring
Eric Chavez, right?
That's what I think.
Above league average in hitting, and we just ignore Eric Chavez because it's your narrative for guys that you like.
I mean, listen, you say they're above league average, but I can also say that there's only two worse teams with runners in scoring position.
Right. Runners in scoring position is absolutely a coachable issue, right? That's definitely what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it is.
So if you had to coach guys for runners in scoring position, not about their swing, not about tapping into these type of things, what do you just like sit down and kumbaya with them?
Yeah,
listen. Light up the incense and say, I believe you can do it, and believe in the me that believes in you. And Eric Chavez isn't doing enough of that. Because I never really thought of runners in scoring position as a coachable thing.
Listen, you move up in the box, you move back in the box. Hands up on the bat, hands down. Light a couple candles for Jobu. You figure it out. Maybe kill a live chicken. Like whatever works here. You got to try. As a coach, you got to be willing to try everything.
Instead of admitting that Eric Chavez should be given credit for. If Brett Beatty is good, then we're giving Eric Chavez credit, right? That's what I'm thinking.
No, just because one player on the team's not being good.
Brett Beatty, you said, has been hitting since May 5th, right? This is the.
That's what.
Wait, hold on, Ram. Is there anything out there that says like Brett Beatty's been working with Eric Chavez on this? Like, is there any substance here saying like, because for all intents and purposes, I mean, Brett Beatty could be like on the total opposite side of the locker room trying to avoid Chavez.
So why Brett Beatty specifically? Why does Brett Beatty get this?
plausible as Chavez helping him?
It is plausible to you that the guy who is hired to coach hitting is avoiding a singular young player who is
no. I'm not saying he's avoiding Beatty. I'm saying Beatty is avoiding him like he's the plague.
Ram, your point might have a little bit more sense if there wasn't countless articles of Pete Alonso talking about getting outside help at any chance that he can get. This is a top tier guy here.
I understand that the guys have talked about, but the thing is, it's not like that's uncommon to anyone who's a successful hitter. This happens in all sports. They do talk about the fact that they get outside help from whatever. I mean, these guys are friends. Like we saw Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber hug at the All-Star game. They play at Mets Phillies when the games are on, but they're friends with each other. They talk. All these guys talk to each other, and they do take insight from one another. It's not uncommon. A lot of them train together in the offseason. You know, I was making jokes about this, like when Jerks and Profar got the PED thing. He trains with Fernando Tatis Jr. and things like that. Doesn't mean Tatis Jr. is on steroids now, but
I mean, he did get suspended for it too.
Oh, I know. I just want to mention that again. But
I think the 5-5 was just because that's when he got called back up.
No, but I think it's funny to me because he's up since 5-5, right? So now we're towards the end of July. So according to the logic of you and Luke now, because Luke's in on this, for 2.5 months. Every day he's avoided Eric Chavez. He shows up to work and he's just been like, "There's Eric. I'm gonna just go to the opposite side of the room."
Yep. He's walking in the room. I'm gonna leave. I'm in the weight room working out. He wants to come say something to me. My workout's done. I'm gonna go head to the showers. That's just how it is. I think it's just as plausible that Eric Chavez is actually helping him.
If you full screen the screen, you can see that some of the names get cut off, but the last name on the list is Volpe. But if you want to do it justice, Peter, if you want to give that Brett Beatty muse tweet some credit, right? Although they obviously have had more at-bats this season than Brett Beatty by far, why don't you rip off the names there that Brett Beatty currently has a better OPS higher than?
I sure will. Willie Adames, Julio Rodriguez, Alec Boehm, although I feel like that one's not that impressive. Christian Walker, Mookie Betts, who, to add, on Friday will not be playing against the Red Sox for personal reasons. And while not official, I do believe that him finding out that he has a lower OPS than Beatty is probably that reason.
I take a day off for that.
Yeah. Garcia, and last but not least, Anthony Volpe. Which, again, I mean, of course.
Not impressive.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so now here's the question. Would you take any of those players over Brett Beatty?
I would take Julio Rodriguez, even though he's not playing very well right now.
Are you really hesitating here?
Yes, I am. I love Brett Beatty. Listen, I like my guys. I'm
a fellow Beatty-ac, and I'm embarrassed right now.
I laid that up perfectly in the watch the hesitation. Why? He sat there like maybe Julio Rodriguez.
Why can't
never? I would never take.
Well, yeah, because Mookie Betts he's old. Unfortunately, he's on the decline.
I gave you a chance to back out of it, and you doubled down. What are you doing?
Listen, I will not be punished and for the crime of defending the players who play for my team. I'm allowed to love the players who play for my team and dislike those who don't. I'm allowed.
I've never been more convinced.
But those players would be on your team. Like that. They will start wearing the Mets jersey, and you will learn to love them. Like that
do you think? Listen,
absent of this debate here. It's whether or not
do you think I like? Do you think? Oh, here's a good example. Do you think I liked Juan Soto before he played for the Mets? If we did this podcast a year, well, maybe not a year ago.
You wouldn't have traded Brett Beatty for Juan Soto?
Oh yeah, of course. But we're talking about liking players. Maybe not last year because Pete had a really bad year.
That's the exact point. Like that's the exact point. Like,
but
if
I feel like
Jerry called up David Stearns right now and said, "Hey, I want to trade Julio Rodriguez for Brett Beatty." How would you feel about that?
You are misinterpreting my pause. My pause was not, let me think about it, I don't know. My pause was, I'm trading a player that I really like. That stinks. But of course I would do it. But I'm allowed to be upset about
the
trading.
The only player on that list that I wouldn't take over Beatty is Anthony Volpe.
Or Alec Boehm. What are you talking about? Alec Boehm is a word spread, Beatty. Get out of here. Christian Walker's like 36.
Maybe
maybe 38. How old is Walker?
I'm a
He's
known
mid-30s.
Bohm
Yeah.
hater, so I don't think I'm allowed to comment that I actually agree with Peter on that one. I'd probably take Beatty over Bohm.
And I don't think I do think Willie Adames is also having a terrible year, and I do think that that's not just a blip. I think that's going to be a trend downward. So,
well, I don't have a graphic for it, but since Volpe's at the bottom of that list, right? I do think it's not a horrible time to switch over here, and let's do some conversation about that. Luke, there's been a lot of talk about Anthony Volpe in the last week, and a lot of it has to do with his defense. His bat, of course, we've discussed it in here too, but it's starting to look like not even the yips, like he's just kind of throwing the ball all over the infield. What's the pulse on Yankee World right now in Anthony Volpe, and is the prevailing logic that they should send him down? Is the idea that he should stay up? How do you feel about the moves at shortstop? Like, what's going on in the land of Volpe and shortstops for the Yankees specifically?
Yeah, I mean, at least the discussions I've had, it's the Yankees aren't going to fix it this season, right? So you're really left with two options. It's either you ride it out with Volpe for the rest of the year, you've already invested so much in him, and then you kind of reassess in the offseason. It's one of those interesting things because he hasn't been in the league long enough, and it's not like his contract is I can't move him down. Like, this isn't like a DJ situation where I'm going to have to DFA him. You can just send him to the minors. He has, believe he has all three options right now. So why not? I mean, seriously, why not at this point? He's not contributing in a positive way to the team. Send him down and let him figure it out. And maybe he figures it back out in AAA, give him a shot back in spring training to get his job back. But for the rest of the season, he can't be the Yankee shortstop. He can't be the Yankee.
Who do you guys trade for? Because they got to have somebody like Braden Shoemaker. You're not going to put him at shortstop. He's the shortstop in AAA right now.
I would take him over Anthony Volpe right now. I mean,
he can't hit. That's his problem. Neither
can Volpe. So, like, where's the difference?
I agree with you that they should send him down. Like, I totally agree with you. I'm just trying to speculate. Like, who are the shortstops available? Like,
does that mean you think will they have to trade for a shortstop at the?
I think so.
Well,
I think so at this point. And
there's no internal option.
The last couple of weeks we've been talking about getting Eugenio Suarez, right? I think that's out. I really think that's out of the question. I know we were talking about it before the show. It's like, I don't want a bad defensive third baseman. I mean, the defense is so bad right now, and you're just gonna compound it with him, right? His bat is great, and that's awesome, but you're just compounding the defensive, the defensive issues that the Yankees are having right now. I would much rather have a shortstop, keep Peraza at third, and roll the dice with him. But golly, we need a new shortstop.
Do the Twins trade Carlos Correa? I mean, that's a big contract to take on, but
I don't think any of Yankee World accepts Carlos Correa, right?
I'm just trying to think of guys that could be available.
No, I mean, in terms of availability, sure, but I don't feel like that's a guy that the Yankees would target, right?
I think, what was it? It was 2021 or 22 when he hit free agency. At least the Yankee fans I talked to, it was just he's a good player, and we're just going to kind of have to swallow the whole Astros thing with him. But it's again, it's such a weird thing, and it's like, if he plays well, then all is forgiven, right? It's like, you've saved us from Anthony Volpe, you've saved us of the shortstop position. I don't really care what you did in Houston anymore. Just, can we start winning some games?
So Yankee fans are legitimately done on Volpe?
I think so.
If you look at
done for this year, though, right?
Shortstop's not there.
No, I was saying done for this year, or do you think it's starting to be like, we are out on Anthony Volpe? We don't really think that he's the guy anymore.
I think they should be.
Yeah.
Look at his career.
I would say I'm definitely done for the year. I would send him down to the minors and see if he can, figure it out, bring him back for spring training. And if it just doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I mean, it sucks that you've invested so much into him, but you're not getting the output on the investment that you put in.
The Yankees have given him a really long leash, and he's not performed.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing too. Someone had brought this up to me recently. It's almost the opposite. Like, everyone's like, oh, let's coddle him. Like, let's make it easy. Like, let's not put any pressure on him. Being the Yankee shortstop, I think he needed that. Like I think he needed the pressure, and I think he was coddled too much. And it was just like, all right, well, I can go out and bat 200, and that'll be fine. Like that's okay, you know. But no, like he needed to be sat. Like he needed to be put out. Put out in games. Like it was too easy for him.
And the only real option in free agency this winter is going to be Bo Bichette. So like,
it's Bo Bichette or Hassan Kim. That's right.
Yeah, about Kim.
And I think the Blue Jays are going to make an
really
effort.
well there.
The Blue Jays are going to make an effort to try to keep Bichette. So I do think Kim actually makes sense, especially because he's coming off of 1 year with the Rays.
Right now, he feels like a Yankee to me too. Like
he feels like a Yankee.
Yeah, there's certain players that just seem like they're a Yankee. I feel like Hassan Kim is a guy that would fit in really well there.
I don't know. Hassan Kim doesn't strike me as an asshole, but I guess that's what you kind of.
Well, I didn't mean that.
I did, but no, I think it's a tough one, Luke, because you can see not only it's mentioned, but there's a lack of contingency plans with the Yankees right now because they believe that Volpe was going to be their guy, right? So it's not like they have we'll talk about Lombard Jr. in a bit, and he is a guy that they might think could be someone special, and I understand that he's a top prospect. But Lombard Jr. is not coming up tomorrow, and he's not going to be here for your pennant race. No. So now it becomes a tough one. I do think Hassan Kim makes a lot of sense, as Ash is saying. I do agree with that. The problem is that's going to be at the end of the year because I doubt the Rays are just going to turn him over to the Yankees right now. Right, exactly.
But there's no real trade chips. Like I was looking around these teams, I'm like, none of these teams that are out of it have an obvious shortstop to trade. Like, I mean, what are you gonna? Maybe you could convince Pittsburgh to give you O'Neal Cruz, but like, he was bad defensively, and he's just league average hitting. Like, yeah, there's an enormous ceiling of potential, but I'm not convinced he's ever going to see it. Like. It's just, I'm looking around. Who do you trade? Orioles are not trading Gunnar Henderson. Like,
no. Well, I mean, or do you go after Jorge Mateo?
I mean, is that really an upgrade level? Like,
not much. But I think his OBP is better. I think his OBP is better than Volpe's. Right, and I said this 2 weeks ago. It's like Volpe's strength is his base running. Like he has good speed, and it's just. Start working some walks, work the count, get on base. Like just start with simple things. And he's not doing that. So I don't know.
What's your let's say Volpe gets sent down, he gets some time to figure it out, and he's still around next year. Like he is the shortstop, right? What is an expectation for Volpe that you have that's both realistic and keeps him in the job?
I don't know. Not lead the league in errors. Like, we can start there. Right.
No, that's fair.
I don't know, get the average over 225. Right. Like
he league average.
Right. I mean, seriously.
I mean, he's not league average hitting or defensively right now.
No. And I think that's the frustrating part for Yankees fans too. He was a glove first prospect, right? You want a gold glove his rookie year, and there was high potential there, and now it's just god awful. Like it's bad.
Yeah, and the tough part I think is that we were talking about WRC Plus earlier, Ash, when we were making our little comments about Beatty and Grisham and stuff, right? If you look at Volpe, his best WRC Plus was 87. And that was last year during a 3.5 F4 season. His WRC plus is still 87. So it's kind of a tough one where exactly as you guys said, the bat isn't working. The glove is definitely not working. And it's got to be frustrating because this is a guy that is young, right? I think he just turned 24 a couple months ago. So he's still extremely young. And we're having these conversations about players earlier than we used to. Right, because the prime when I was younger used to be like 27 and 32. So if a guy was up at like 24, you're like, wow, that's a goddamn miracle. But now he's been up for years. So it's a tough one because you have enough tape on him to kind of understand who he is. And I feel bad only because in the way that Peter gets excited over the Brett Beatty thing, in the sense of like, you want your homegrown players to succeed. right? And you get
Yeah.
attached to them. I understand that concept. I'm incredibly attached to like the Mets in that way. So like with Volpe, I know it's a tough one because people were like, this is our shortstop of the future. This is our guy. And it just seems like it's gone downwards.
And isn't he from that area?
Yeah. He was. Yeah, we talked about this last week too. I mean, the Yankees literally drafted him. They literally drafted him to try and get Jack Leiter.
Yes.
Like that was the big reason why. And it almost felt like a win for us because he rose to the ranks so quickly. It was like, yeah, this guy was just kind of a high school pick. He was there to bring Leiter in. It didn't work out. And then he just started shooting right up the minors, and it just didn't work out. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it.
I do think that sending him to the minors, if you're going to get anything out of him this year, is the way to go. I know we're going to talk about it later, and it's only been a series, but Alvarez came back and had a really good series. So, sometimes you just got to listen, especially say he came up as a glove first shortstop. He's leading the league in errors. Like, this is clearly mental. Like, even like if he's playing a really good shortstop defensively, you'll take an 88 WRC plus from him. Obviously, it's not great, but you'll take it.
Chris wants you to take Story off the Red Sox, by the way. They have too many guys. Of course, the Red Sox always ever so willing to deal with the Yankees. But you touched on something there that I'll use to segue into our next segment. You talked about him rising through the ranks, and I mentioned Lombard myself, so we can go in that direction. We saw a little bit earlier tonight that MLB Pipeline released a new top 100, and they released some updated top 30s. As always, any prospect list isn't gospel, but it's still worth talking about because it tracks the progression of some of the guys that we get attached to and the guys we hear the buzz about. And I mentioned Lombard, so we can start with the Yankees in that regard. We'll pull up the top 10 for the Yankees, and I'll see what I got here. I think I have them set to the side. Let me make sure I do this right. I do. Okay. So this is what we're looking at for the Yankees top 10 updated on Pipeline as of a little bit earlier tonight. Lombard, of course, is at the top. Lagrange, Schittler, Jones, Cunningham, Rodriguez, Cruz, Hess, Herring, Flores, and Hampton. Now, all the buzz has been about Lombard because he's been doing all the right things and people like him. Some other names have spiked up. There's been a lot of conversation about Spencer Jones, and it's gone outside of the Yankees fan base. It's been a while since I've seen someone as divisive, maybe like Joe Adell a couple years ago when people either thought he was the second coming of Jesus or they thought he was going to be a horrible player. And to this day, we still have very open Joe Adell debates, right? I kind of see that in Spencer Jones. I've joked openly about the fact that I'm waiting for that Aristides Aquino run where he comes up and matches like 7 home runs and nothing happens. But he's up there. Now, we've touched about it before. We talked in recent weeks if you want to move him. But Spencer Jones is now is the 4th rank there. He's been tearing it up in AAA. But his swinging strike rate and his strikeout rate overall drives fear into everybody. Right? I mean, Ash, I'm going to touch you on here for you because it's nice that I get to include you for once. You are very vocal of Spencer Jones, right? You're not too sure on whether he's got a future.
I'm totally out on this guy. Like, I want to say his swinging strikes like 18.8%, 18.7, something like that. I can't think of a single productive MLB player that has a swinging strike rate that if you're swinging and missing all the time, I don't care how many other times you're making contact. Like the major league pitchers are going to figure you out. Like if you're in AAA and have an 18.7, 18.8 swinging strike, that's not going to play at the major league level. I think that with his streak, how he's been hitting over the last 6 weeks or whatever it is, I think now is the time to trade him because right now he's probably at peak value and the Yankees could get something in return for a guy like that. Like if you go out and get a Josh Naylor or I guess the Yankees don't need Naylor, but you know what I'm saying? Like if you go out and get one of these prime trade chip candidates, now's the time. You use this guy to go get somebody. Maybe you find one of those guys that actually has a year and a half of control.
Luke, do you have a favorite of these guys on here? It's okay if it's Lombard or anything like that, but is there anyone that you feel like doesn't get highlighted enough?
I know this one is is a little lame this year, but I really liked Chase Hampton a couple of years ago. I know he's out this season after Tommy John surgery. So I'm excited to see him come back 2026, get back and rolling. I think he was a high riser a couple of years ago. So I really like Chase Hampton. I've liked Bryce Cunningham this year. I've liked Ben Hess. Yeah, I mean those three guys. I think you have a solid pitching prospects on this list here for the Yankees, which is just a little odd because I feel like in previous years it's just like I feel like we've just been missing on the pitching prospects. I feel like it's just always been very heavy on the hitting. So I mean, if you look at the list, what is it? 8? No,
7.
Sorry, 7.
Yeah, 7. I was going to say the same thing actually. That 7 of them are arms.
Yeah,
it is interesting because, and there are some guys that, Richard Fitz is now pitching for the Sox, but he was a guy that I was watching the Yankees develop for a bit and I thought was interesting. The point being that the Yankees have done a pretty good job of very quietly working with getting the best out of their arms. I think Griffin Herring, who's now ranked number 8 on Pipeline, is a great example of that. If you look at Herring's stuff, this is a guy that was throwing in the low to mid 90s max. He's got a good sweeping slider, but he's just kind of that crafty lefty. And there are some people who worry about the reliever risk because slider's considered his best pitch, right? But I talk poetically and openly, longly about like David Peterson and those type of guys. There is space in MLB for these guys to still be successful, even if the analytics aren't the prettiest thing in the world, if they can get outs. And Griffin Herring's a big dude. He's a 6'2" guy who's just doing what he needs to do to get outs. And I think at the end of the day, the development of his changeup is going to determine whether he sticks it out as a starter or a reliever. And you can say that a million times about lots of starters. But Griffin Herring moving up into the top 10, I love crafty lefties. I do think that this is a guy that you might see could shoot up some rankings again. And Yankee fans might say, hey, I like this guy. I like what he's doing. Now, but it is surprising to me that I do feel like at the end of the day, we've heard it all the time. Oh, it's all hitting prospects. And now we're looking at Pipeline's top 10 and 7 out of 10 are arms. Right. And so there's got to be some hope there.
Can you scroll down this a little bit? I haven't looked at their new list. So I just kind of want to see a couple other guys where they might be.
I can bring it up for you in a moment then, because that was a.
That's all right. I'll look on my own here. I'm sorry. I thought you just shared your screen.
No, it's good. I just went ahead and I screen capped the top 10 for both teams because I thought that'd be the easiest. I didn't want to torture Luke, but some other guys on there, Henry Lillane was at one point. There was 5 minutes where Henry Lillane's star burned brighter than any Yankee pitching prospect since Java Chamberlain, where everyone was like, Lillane had like one start where he killed it, and everyone's like, that is our new god. Our new religion is Henry Lillane, and everyone was on him. And he's now dropped to 14 because he's had.
Rock Reggio up to 11. That's the guy I was looking for. I think that could be a trade chip. I wonder, like last year he was playing a lot of shortstop. This year he's playing second base. Because he's at Double-A with George Lombard, who's obviously playing shortstop. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if Rock Reggio is a guy that could shift back to shortstop and give him a little bit of trial there. That's a guy that I actually really like. I'm scrolling through here some more.
Selvage, by the way, comes in at 13, and I have a very similar conversation about Selvage than I do about Griffin Herring, because, again, crafty lefty, like he's figured some things out, not exactly a dominant fastball, but they've been able to make that work. So,
Ram, I have 11 to 21 screenshotted on my thing if you want to pull it up.
I cannot believe that Jesus Rodriguez is way down at 30. This is a guy that's way better of a prospect than that, in my opinion.
Thank you, by the way, Peter. Roger Arias is over there at 12. I know he was a guy that was getting a lot of love as well.
Yeah, Roger Arias, when I looked on him I haven't looked on him in probably a month, but last time I did, I thought he was kind of like, last year he was a little bit lackluster, but I thought he was coming back. Oh, I've reached my free article limit on Fangraphs. I didn't know they had that.
That's actually
that's funny.
mid time here. And I don't know, is there anyone, I know you're not a super prospect guy, Peter, so you don't have to go crazy about this, but between the sets, have there any names that you've heard anything about that you want to talk about? And it's okay if you haven't.
I've heard of Ben Hess. I've looked him up a little bit in trade discussions in fantasy baseball. interesting there. But as far as the big guys go, I mean, Spencer Jones, I agree with a lot of what Ash is saying. I just don't see it that high strikeout rate translating to the majors. The Yankees
Arias has regressed, so I'm wrong on him. Go ahead.
And the Yankees have a really fun habit of overhyping their prospects, but also at the same time never trading them or calling them up, so they just sit there and rot in the minors. And I like if Spencer Jones was somebody, I feel like the Yankees would have called him up by now.
How do you feel about that part? As I'm going to transition to the Mets, Luke, but do you agree with that? If Spencer Jones was somebody, the Yankees would have called him up because they need the help?
Just a quick note on Spencer Jones, and I am in no way comparing him to Aaron Judge, but Aaron Judge's strikeout rate. Aaron Judge's strikeout rate was 27.8% in 2016 before he was called up. Spencer Jones right now in AAA, 27.8%.
I got to put a pin in this. Let me pull up his minor league numbers here. Scrolling down, swinging strike in what year is this? 2018. His swinging strike in 2018 was 13.7%. In AAA, it was 11.7. Like his swinging strike has never been an issue. Spencer Jones's is like 18 point something. Like it's not playable.
I'm trying to be devil's advocate here because I also project him to be the Joey Gallo batting 190 and then putting up 30 home runs. Right. And
Joey Gallo was so fun at times for like a 3-week span where he would just go nuts hitting home runs, but then he was terrible for like 8 weeks at a time.
Yeah. And Joey Gallo was decent defensively if I recall correctly.
He had a gun of an arm.
Yeah. But I don't know enough about Spencer Jones defensively. I can't imagine him, lighting it up in the outfield, especially with his size.
I mean, he's played a lot of center though, so he's got to have range.
Sure.
Yeah, pivoting on the prospect talk over to the Mets, by the way, we see, and by the way, on the Yankees side, we did see that a few of them ranked top 100, right? It was Lombard, and let me see if I can pull that back up.
It was Lombard, LaGrange, and Schittler,
right? And they end up in the back half of like the bottom 90, LaGrange and Schittler, and then Lombard is higher up.
I believe Lombard is 30.
Right, and the Mets have 4 guys on there that ends up with Carson Bench, one of their recent picks that a lot of people were high on right off the jump. Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong in this ranking have jumped over Brandon Sproat, who at one point was considered almost the Mets' number 1 prospect, even ahead of Jet Williams at one point. So a lot of interesting stuff here. Ryan Clifford is a very interesting case where he lost some flair and then has started to try to figure it out again, has looked a little bit better, and some people believe he is a solid first base prospect. A.J. Ewing has spiked up because of his speed and has been able to do some special things. Jacob Reamer, very quiet season too, but a lot of names that have been catching a lot of buzz, maybe because of the fact that they're on the Mets squad and then they're in New York, which is the truth of the matter. But I also think there's some legitimate prospects here. Now, I do have some names in the further part that I like to talk about too, but Peter, who stands out to you here? I know McLean is your guy through and through, right? So if you want to talk about McLean, I will not be bothered at all.
No, I mean, yeah, I've definitely talked about McLean on here a bunch. I'm a big fan of him. I feel like I picked up on him before he was like one of the top major guys, so I feel proud of that. But honestly, out of the top 2 pitchers, or top 2 pitchers, Jonah Tong's the guy that right now I'm the most excited about. His fastball shape is really weird, and I like it. And his the way he pitches with his mechanics reminds me a lot of Tim Lincecum, who I love. Tim Lincecum, he's probably my favorite not Mets player. He's probably the only jersey that I would ever wear that isn't of Mets. It reminds me a lot of him, so I'm a big fan of that. As far as some of the other guys on here, I love Carson Bench. I think he's gonna be great. And there's a couple guys on the bottom half of the lists that I'm really excited about as well. Mainly Elian Pena. Granted, he's just a teenager. It's super early, but people were really excited about him coming up, and so I feel like I have no reason not to. And then the last guy that I'm really excited about is Jonathan Santucci. Not talked about as much just because the Mets have a couple really big stud pitchers, so he kind of falls behind them in that. But look out for him too. I think he has the potential to be a really, really good major league starter.
Yeah, so looking at these guys here, some of these bats are a little bit, they don't necessarily have super elite tools where they're going to be someone that you have to take notice of, but there are guys that look like they're going to be productive major league players here. Jet Williams being the easiest conversation about that, but Reamer looks like a guy that could be useful. If Clifford just ends up being the power hitting first base profile, that could be useful. We're happy about that. I love Jonah Tong just because it doesn't necessarily make sense, and that his early success, they said he was going to be a reliever, and it seems like he's just ignored that. He is an Ontario native. Shout out to our friend Ty, who's not with us tonight, but he would love to hear that we're talking about a Canadian on here about the Mets guys. But Tong is such a likable guy, and the Tim Lincecum delivery has been discussed. I think that's crazy. This is a guy who's out there throwing a fastball, a curveball, and a Vulcan change. And anyone who throws a Vulcan change makes me excited because I get to talk about Vulcan changes. But I like Tong a lot. Switching over, though, for a bit to the mid areas, Santucci, as Peter said correctly, does not get talked about as much, but a lefty with a lot of potential. I mean, coming out of the draft, I was excited to see what the Mets pitching lab was going to do with him. We do see the fall of Drew Gilbert out of the top 10 to the 12, but I don't want to focus on the negatives there because it would be too easy. So I will then talk about Jack Wenninger and Will Watson. Those are two guys that you'll hear me talk about day after day after day because going into this season, these are guys that made slight changes that have shot them up the Mets rankings. At one point, these were not guys that Jonah Tong, to his credit, was also not a top 30 prospect for the Mets for a while either, as I believe Peter and I were discussing too. But Wenninger has had one of the more successful minor league seasons for the Mets right now, as he's looking to prove that he can still be a starter, and he's striking out people at a very, very high rate. And part of that's because of the fact that he picked up a splitter, and that splitter was essentially the big move, but now he's got some other stuff working in there. He's trying to be creative. I like it. He's striking guys out. He looks like a guy that, again, can kind of move past the analytics and be a very, very viable starter. Will Watson, too, in the same way. This is a guy whose fastball is pretty dominant. I said earlier when I was talking about some Yankees guys that the changeup is important. I think he's got a fastball slider change down. He's been trying to work in a cutter a little bit. These are guys that I do think could be starters. And for me, it's just when you think about prospect hit rate, if these guys make it up to be number 3 or 4 starters and they're homegrown and you have them for a few years, you consider that to be a success because these aren't your first round picks. Wenninger was a 6th round pick, and Will Watson, I think, was taken even later than that. I believe he was the 7th. Yes, he was a 7th round pick, right? So if you're getting success out of your 6th and 7th round guys and they can come up and be your 3 and 4 guys, I'm pretty excited about that. Ash, were there any names on here that you are particularly a fan of between the two sets of the list here?
On this list, I really like Carson Benga. I think he's going to be a productive player for the Mets. I have been in and out so many times on Brandon Sproat. My gut still says reliever long term, but I think they're going to give him every chance to start. On the next screen, it's Jack Wenninger, like who you talked about a minute ago. He's got a great changeup. His fastball velocity is like 91 to 95, something like that. So it's not super overpowering. He kind of reminds me of like one of those innings eater 4th starters, maybe a 3rd as his ceiling. So I think that's a productive player for the Mets long term. Don't think he comes up this year because there's so many guys ahead of him in the pipeline. Mm-hmm. But could he be a starter mid-season next year? I absolutely think so, especially he's in AA now. So at any point he could come up. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I am with him. I'm actually excited to see him debut because I get very excited about guys that I think have long-term productive career potential. And he's that type of guy. Like I said, I could see him being a better version of Kyle Gibson, basically.
Yeah, and it's like I was saying with the hit rate, if you get it right early, too, these are guys that, from a fantasy perspective, this isn't a fantasy show necessarily, but if you get in on them early, you're getting these guys for free. you're not spending heavy capital or fab to go out there and get a Will Watson or a Wenninger before the hype. And I think this is the last end of it, right? There were some guys in here before, Marco Vargas, Boston Barrel. These were higher ranked on Fangraphs lists and things like that. But these guys like Tong, Wenninger, Watson, if you catch them when you're paying attention, they were not first-round picks that were highly touted. They figured some things out. So it's always fun when that works out for your team at the end of the day. I always get excited about that.
Oh, and on that bottom half, there's a lot of guys that are actually pretty high on Eli Serrano.
Yes.
I have not dug in on him, to be honest, so I can't really give my perception, but I know like there are some people that are pretty high on him too. So
listen, I know the Mets obviously have the richest owner in baseball, but David Stearns is the president over there. I believe it was on either Friday or Saturday. The Mets had 2 players that they traded for or signed in free agency in Lindor and Soto, but the rest were all homegrown guys. So like this is where the Mets are going to, make most of their hay, so to speak. It's through the prospect line.
Yeah, and arguably the best prospect and homegrown player of the history of baseball, Pablo Sanchez, has been taking a little appearances over the Mets. They've won 4 straight games, and they've been able to take the NL East lead back. I don't want to sit there and torment Luke too much about the Blue Jays having a 4-game lead over the Yankees, so we'll take a minute to say something nice about the Mets to let them cool off. But since Pablo Sanchez decided to stop by and grace us with his presence over by the Mets, they've been able to storm back and take the NL East lead. But a big part of that, if we're being honest, like today's game, was the fact that the big bats have been able to start producing again. One of the easiest ones to go to would be to Francisco Lindor, who was actually able to hit again after a very long stretch where he was struggling. 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. We're all happy to say, well, at least me and Peter are. I don't know about Ash and Luke, but me and Peter are pretty happy to see Lindor get back to form today. He was taking some better at-bats. You wanted to highlight Lindor, Peter, I'm assuming just because it's crucial for our success to have Lindor kind of get back off the schneid and break this slump, right? How are you feeling? I know that you were nervous about that slump. We were talking through it. I was getting mad about it because I'm like, he's going to be fine. I have no worries about Lindor. But
no, overall, I did think Lindor was going to be fine, but he was 0 for 38, I believe he got up to, which is just, I mean, I'm not looking at it as like an angry way, like it's just like disappointing, like I feel bad for the guy. He's a much better baseball player than that, and if the Mets are going to have any sort of aspirations this year, you need Lindor to be. Listen, he doesn't necessarily have to be MVP candidate like he was last year hitting, but like something close to that. Can't be 0 for 38 ever again. Maybe if it's
the World Series, they're going to need him to hit.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to. This is just my graphic of trying to be positive. It's the start of something great. Like he's going to continue and keep it going.
Well, as we're hoping for what else is also the start of something great, and this is something that's come up here too. Francisco Alvarez, whose kids saw their first game the other day, is back up after a ridiculous home run stretch in AAA and smashed an almost home run his first game back and then hit an actual home run right after that, as Peter asked about dad power. We were talking about whether sending him down was the right decision. I admittedly was a little nervous about it. I didn't know if it would work. Clearly it has. And clearly it looks like he's looking back to his old self. I feel pretty good about it. This is still one of our younger players that we need to be the start of something great for us to have a really good run. We need Alvarez to show up and be the guy that we expect him to be. Ash, I know he was burning a hole in your fantasy bench for a little bit, so you were concerned for at least a few minutes.
Yeah, me too, buddy.
But we definitely needed this type of hitting from Francisco Alvarez to be able to figure these things out. And we don't have a graphic for it, but also on top of it, Pete Alonso is now 5 away from tying the Mets club record for home runs, right?
4 from tying, 5 from breaking.
4 from tying, 5 from breaking. Wow. So it's one of those things where I'm really happy that he signed with us, if only for that much. I'd like him to continue his career as a Met. But when it comes down to, I mean, Luke gets all the homegrown players in the world over there, but we don't get that many like that. So I'm really happy that Alonso's still with us and able to hit to the level that he is right now. I'm almost hoping that this doesn't happen on the road trip so he can do it at home. Like when he broke Judge's records, like they were able to kind of go crazy at home and things like that. I enjoy these type of moments. I see Luke over there biting his nails thinking about that. But I'm happy that Alonso's able to do his thing over here. The Mets look like they're back on track, but now I got a roundtable for a little bit because we got to talk about the Yankees for a few minutes. Are the Blue Jays going to take the division type of question? We've talked about other teams. We talked about the Yankees, and that we talked Yankees versus Mets, that the Yankees might have been cakewalking towards winning that division. And somebody sent that message by carrier pigeon up to Toronto, and they said, well, not if we have anything to say about it, eh? And now they're up 4 games on the New York Yankees. And this is not to torture you, Luke, but it's a legitimate question. Did you expect this from the Toronto Blue Jays? And do you foresee them holding this lead?
No, I don't think I expected it from the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they were a better team than the record was at the beginning of the season. But I can't imagine this fall off from the Yankees to just concede what lead that they had in the AL East. And I think that's the portion that's just kind of making me scratch my head is. Yeah, I think up and down. I think Toronto has a good team. I mean, you look at the lineup, 1 through 6, and it's solid. It's solid. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They have a good rotation too. I mean, Chris Bassett looked great tonight. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Max Scherzer seems like he's figuring it out. I mean, Max is a player. Max is going to show up. And you have Berrios, and you have Kevin Gossman. I mean, you have. Those are four solid starters. I mean, the big question for them is the bullpen. So they're a good team. They're absolutely good team, and hats off to them for taking the AL East. I don't know if it's sustainable. And that's as a hopeful Yankees fan right now. I mean, that is as hopeful as I can be, because the Yankees do not seem like the team that is going to win the AL East right now, the way they're playing.
And so before I ask the other two about it, are you kind of going against Michael Kay, who didn't really believe Toronto was the team? Because I know, Mike, you have a shrine of Michael Kay in the corner of your house, and he was getting made fun of because he didn't really believe Toronto was the team. He doesn't. So are you openly going against your guy here? Or are you?
No comment.
Pleading the fifth is fine. All right, so to the other side of the panel here, Ash and Peter. Ash, I'll go to you first. How real do you think this Blue Jays surge is, and do you think they have a legitimate shot to take this division?
What I'm nervous about with Toronto is, what are they going to? Their farm is not super conducive to acquiring a bunch of added bullets, in my opinion. So I need to see what happens with the deadline, and how do the Yankees improve? How do the Blue Jays improve? Do the Red Sox do anything? It's just sorry, my dogs are all over me. I need to. I guess the jury is out, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I need to see what happens at the deadline, which we're only a little over a week from now. So I think we're close to getting answers. The Yankees really need to do something, in my opinion, to get some more offense at third base, even if it's biting the bullet. And, I mean, they've got to improve third base, period. I've also been on the record of saying Ke'Bryan Hayes should be an option for the Yankees because he's elite defensively, and the Yankees historically like to acquire guys that are elite defensively. That wouldn't help them with offense, though. So I don't know. I guess I'm waffling.
I also want to, in responding to the fact that Ash has both the dogs now, these were needed requests for the show. My sleeves are gone. Ash has 2 dogs. We are pulling out the stops for you guys. All right. If this doesn't raise a viewership at some point, we're losing options here. No.
I'm wearing a sweatshirt for the show. Like, come on, guys. Seriously.
Why did you cover up more? Didn't we talk about the fact that, you have sex appeal in the New York Power Hour? Are you worried that as a Yankees fan that people aren't going to,
I think I would scare people away if I started trying to do sex appeal on the show.
But you have an outstanding jawline for a Yankees fan. You know that? I love making you nervous.
I hate you so much right now. I want you to know that.
Peter, how do you feel about the Blue Jays and what's going on over there? I mean, I know that because of the fact that we're Mets fans, it's kind of funny to say that the Toronto Blue Jays are on a hot streak and you're enjoying it. But do you think they have a realistic chance to take the division over?
Sure, I think they have a chance. Now, I mean, gun to head, I still think the Yankees are going to win the division. But why can't the Blue Jays? They're playing really well right now. I talked about it in our pre-pod thing, and I'll say it on here. The Blue Jays really have some 2024 New York Mets grimace vibes going on, and why not? Especially when you have people like Michael Kay giving them fire to motivate them. Like not even like I know like the Michael Kay joke, but like legitimately, if the Yankees play-by-play guy is basically telling you that you're a joke and you're not a first place team, that's gonna go down to the players. They're gonna hear that. It's gonna motivate them. But really, the big question I have here is Shohei Ohtani. Do you regret not going to Toronto? Because you should. Because right now, they have a better record than you do.
You know what? I would have loved it if Ohtani went to Toronto, if only because I openly talk about the fact Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is one of my favorite players on the planet, and part of that is the fact that he'd rather die than go to the Yankees. So I love that. I respect a man who talks that way, a la Hunter Dobbins. But it's one of those things where, as your wife said, the dogs should bring more viewers. So you might have to deal with bringing the Yorkies on stream on a more regular basis. I just want to be clear. Rich is saying the Blue Jays bullpen is going to burn out. Very possible after they overuse Hoffman this series alone. They're very Hoffman happy. Yeah. But it's could you imagine if Ohtani went to that Toronto team, man? I love that pitch that they turned around. They said, listen, all you're going to get in LA is guys who show up for the third inning and leave for the sixth. You go to Toronto, you go to Canada, you're going to get an entire country. They're going to worship you. And I love the throwback to the, Durant, don't you wish you went to the Knicks? Ohtani, don't you wish you went to the Blue Jays, baby? I'm with you. I am absolutely with you. And I've been having fun watching the Blue Jays. I do worry about their bullpen, but I also think that some of their guys have been – Vlad Jr. himself has actually not been performing up to the potential that he possibly has, and they've been able to make up for it with some guys like Addison Barger who have been setting the world on fire. There's no chance you're getting Addison Barger cheap in a fantasy league now, right? But at the end of the day,
they need to upgrade third base too, in my opinion. I'm not a big Ernie Clement believer.
No, they might be making moves. I mean, the talk is that they were interested in getting a starter as well. So they might be a surprise, Ryan McMahon type of pickup guy. And I do think this is a throwback to the earlier conversation, but interesting enough, Luke, if they're going to stick with Volpe, right, they may not go the Eugenio Suarez route because they might be worried that a Eugenio Suarez and Volpe side of the infield is going to struggle defensively. And I don't really see them. I know there has been some talk. I don't really see them going the IKF route again and reacquiring IKF just because he's also not a defensive savant. He's a guy that you could have over there and bat ninth. But if you're really contending for the division, IKF is your depth player. He's not being traded to be your shortstop, right? So I don't know what's going to happen in terms of, as Ash, by the way, has removed himself because the dogs are getting too many viewers. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in that regard, but we'll see. We'll see because the trade deadline's coming up soon enough, right? We have, what is it, a month?
8 days.
Oh, no, because, it's the end of the month, right? Yeah, it's the end of the month. So we have not too much time before that happens, and we're going to see what happens.
It's the same Ash left because I was actually going to do a little bit of pushback when he said that the Yankees like to acquire players that are good defensively. Like we don't all remember them getting Josh Donaldson. Like that didn't happen. Like, are we going to pretend that didn't happen?
Or would you be against acquiring a guy whose nickname is the Bringer of Rain? Because
it's a sick nickname.
I actually relatively liked Donaldson for that existence and that. But yeah, I to that point, I am interested to see what they do because they're going to get somebody. I don't know if they're going to get multiple people, right? But I'll finish the Yankees talk on now, Luke. Do you think so? Now we're finished with this Blue Jays series. We're 4 games. They're finished with the Blue Jays, right?
Yeah.
Right. So now there's 4 games back.
I think
before they play them again. Do you think the Yankees look at that and say, okay, it's now more urgent that we acquire help? Or do they look at that and say internally, maybe we're not as good this year as we think, and we don't make a move?
No, I don't think there's any chance of that. I don't think there's any chance that they're going to sit back and say, this isn't our season. Let's sell, and we'll punt till next year. I don't see that happening. I mean, they've acquired too many pieces. You have too many X factors on the team in Rodon, Freed, and obviously Aaron Judge. You're not going to sell at the deadline. You're going to, and I think Cashman even said last week he's going to do whatever he can to make this team better at the deadline.
Yeah, and especially with the AL East, the AL in general, it's weak. It's not good. You can still make the wild card easily.
I mean, you're still in a wild card spot right now, right? Like you're still in a wild card spot, and it's like, I know this is so cliche, but you just got to get to the playoffs, and then anything can happen, right? I mean, you guys know that. If there are two people I could ever talk to about knowing that, it's the two of y'all.
Yeah, I mean, I repeatedly say it here and also on like our fantasy baseball for like the collegiate league, where it's like you have to get to the dance. And I do think that I agree with you for the record. I just wanted to ask, but I agree with you 100% that even with the 4-game lead, there's no way that they're going to turn around. They're absolutely not going to sell. I don't know if it pauses their acquisitions, but I do think it almost might make them more aggressive, where they say, look, this is where our gaps are, especially if they can acquire some guys that the Blue Jays are after, because Ash was correct. The Blue Jays need someone at third base, right? Well, the Yankees need someone at third base. So if they're going to be out there and someone says, all right, I'm sending him to Toronto unless you give us X, Y, and Z, they're probably pulling that trigger because they don't want to be beaten by Toronto to get a third baseman. And I assume that they're probably going to look for some kind of arm as well. So we'll see how this plays out, but it's going to be an interesting few days. We got a week and a day or so. We'll hear if anything gets done beforehand before next week's show. And we'll see what happens in that regard. But we'll see what happens, basically. I'm very interested for both of our teams to see. I feel like there's definitely going to be a few acquisitions to discuss in a week and a day's time when it comes down to it. So
we'll see. I mean, with David Stearns, you never know. And I don't even mean that negatively. Like, that's not even like a shot.
Right. It's just the way that he operates. It's true. All right, so wrapping this stuff up for the night. Of course, as customary, Ash looks like he's had to step away with his dog. So in terms of final thoughts for the evening, Peter, I'll go to you. What do you have to share with us as our last thought for the evening?
Here's my last thought. Me thinking about a player leaving and delaying an answer of saying yes does not mean that I was thinking about not trading Brett Baty. It was me being sad about trading Brett Baty, damn it. And you're allowed to love your players. That is okay.
Great answer. Luke, what do you got as you're getting emotional and cracked up in the corner there?
I got a couple of, the first and most obvious one is, Yankees, y'all got to figure out the defense. It is fucking awful right now. It's impossible to watch these games right now. And
everybody, Rich, everybody.
I say no.
Everybody says no.
I say no to that.
Isn't Bellinger on a 1-year deal?
He is.
Okay. Yeah. You listen, I don't make that trade just so you can sign Tucker in the offseason.
Yeah.
But yes, you do have to figure out the defense, as you were saying.
The defense is awful, and I'm just like I said last week. I'm just tired of Ty being happy. Like his happiness brings me so much pain. Just stop losing to the Toronto Blue Jays. They're not a real team. It's all fake. It's not happening. Like, this is not happening. Second, on a different sport note, because we didn't talk about this tonight, but football's back. Football is back, and I know Peter is so excited for the football season to start. The Jets are going to do well this year. Justin Fields is going to bring you to the promised land. It's a Jets kind of season. But I want to talk about the other team at the Meadowlands, and that's the New York Giants, who announced today that Russell Wilson will definitely be the starter. And I think that's the best move that the Giants could make. I think there's a lot of potential with Jackson Dart. Let him sit the bench, let him roll it out for the season. But it's so funny because the media is talking about both sides of it. If Russell Wilson just totally lays an egg, right? Like totally lays an egg. And that's a total possibility here, right? Or he gets hurt. The fans are going to be wanting Jackson Dart to start. But if Russell Wilson figures it out and takes him to the playoffs, great. and you give Jackson Dart a year to sit it out and develop. So I think the Giants are in a good position. I think they have Jameis Winston too,
Yes.
Who's serviceable as well. So you don't feel like you have to put Jackson Dart in after Russell Wilson. So good quarterback room for the Giants. Very exciting season for the Jets. Can't wait to see what they do.
I can't wait till we're talking football too, because I think it'll be fun. I do want to touch on the Giants and Jets stuff when we get to it. As much as Peter gets upset about Justin Fields, it isn't, even if you're a fantasy player, Justin Fields is the type of guy that you're going to have fun with. It should be a fun season.
It has nothing to do with Justin Fields, man. It has everything to do with just the organization. Just the Jets have sapped any joy out of me.
Well, that's good. We have no expectations. So if Justin Fields wins in game 1, you're going to be out of your shoes. It'll be great.
Yay.
Outstanding work. All right, so 2 things I want to touch on since Ash isn't here for his final take. One of them is very quickly on the Knicks. I did see that there was some news that they were looking into getting assistant coach, former Knicks player Pablo Prigioni, to join Mike Brown's staff. I love Pablo Prigioni so much, and I don't even care about how this would affect coaching-wise. I just think that they should bring Pablo back. And guys named Pablo are really much on my side here. So, but I love Pablo Prigioni. I'm very happy about that. Second take here that I think is important to talk about. Chase Utley's a douchebag. And I think it's really important that at any point in your lives that if you can take a moment to breathe, to drink water and things like that, necessary actions in your life, it should equally be necessary to remember the fact that Chase Utley's a douchebag. And so when we have opportunities to talk about the fact that Chase Utley is a douchebag, we should do that. And Chase Utley was recently on, it might have been Barstool or something like that, and he was asked about the fact about the slide, and he tried to turn around and play it off like he wasn't a dirty player and that wasn't a dirty slide, and I'm not having any of that shit. I'm sorry. Like, there's no redemption tour for you. And I'm not going to lie to you, I know some people have said that if he manned up to it and he owned up to it, that they wouldn't be as upset. For me, that would be a lie. I will hate you no matter what. Even if you owned up to it, I would absolutely hate you, and I would not give you. But I would be less upset if you could at least be honest about the fact that you completely skipped second base to slide into our second baseman's leg and break his leg. People who aren't involved in that know that it was a dirty play. It sucks. It really wasn't fun for any of us. I hate that you get a chance to try to make it seem like it was something like a natural baseball play, like you were just playing hard nose. No, you're a douchebag and you broke Ruben Tejada's leg. You do not get the grace of God for that one. So I don't appreciate that at all. That being said, before I go even further angry, right, that's a very important thing to discuss, as Peter's pointed out. I do want to say thank you to everyone who's out there listening. We did get back up on our viewership tonight, so I'll try to stay shirtless for the rest of the time, and we'll get Ash to bring the dogs back around. Thank you to Brett Beatty Muse for being so kind and saying that it was okay for you to use the stuff. We're happy to have you around. Thank you to Athlete Logos, because I love this thing, and I think it's really cool, and I'm wearing it for fun because it's really just fun for me to be able to wear anything like that for representing Queens. And as always, you know what to do. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube. Subscribes, likes, retweets. We love all that, and we appreciate that. So for the New York Power Hour, at least until next week, signing off for Peter, Luke, and myself. Have a good rest of your evening.